larger conflict. And so we must find time in solving conflict. Sit down at table and talk to each other rather than reacting or fighting. Put in place a strategy of how to agree in your discussion in order to help you move forward in the what? In the relationship. It will help you. Don't react to any conflict that arises without knowing how to what? To meet it better or to meet that conflict. So have a strategy in place. And I will show you some strategies that you can use to dealing with and to solving what? Conflict. So do not lose or get wounded in a battlefield before you decide to have a plan. You are bound to fail. You have failed even completely. So do not get bruised. Do not let yourself to be beaten by the conflicts, that it is killing you. It is giving you stressful moments. It is giving you depression. It is wearing your spirit down and so on and so forth. Get to solving it. Face it. And I like people who are bold in facing conflict and solving it and dealing with it when they know exactly how to go about it. So don't get bruised, don't get wounded, don't get pierced through before you sit down to say, I am now going to deal with the conflict. By that time, it will be harder, it will be difficult, it will be entrenched for you to do with it. Dealing with conflict, you see, two men tend to do. This model has been used in businesses and in marriage settings. So let's go through it. If you apply it, it is better, it is good. It has worked in the churches and it has worked in business areas. Two variables. Thomas Kuhlman's model, he says, one, assertive, being assertive in solving conflict. The desire to really achieve and solve the problem with a motivation to do it this way. So, so be assertive when conflict comes and begin to solve the problem. Don't brush it under the carpet. No, you brush it there, it will come up. So have a motivation, be motivated in solving those conflicts. Cooperativeness, it needs cooperativeness. Yes, you are willing to do it, but have the cooperation, have the consent of your wife or your husband or your children that both of you are going to sit down to solve it. Your willingness to negotiate, give up, or to sacrifice in order to find a solution to the problem helps. Some of us, if we are experiencing conflicts and the conflicts are not being done away, and the conflicts are becoming non-solvable or not solvable, then it shows that you are not negotiating well and you are not willing to give up some of those. You see, Russia and Ukraine war. Russia now wants to draw a line of all the territories that they have conquered against Ukraine. And Ukraine is saying, no, we are not giving up any territories to Russia. And you see, Trump is now saying, using that as a politics to win votes. He's saying, when I come, I will solve this within 24 hours. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's saying within 24 hours, I will solve it. Because now Ukraine is short of ammunition to shoot and to throw at Russia. Russia is now having more to throw on them. And so now the war is now what? Being entrenched. Progress is tipped on the side of maybe Russia. Ukraine is stuck now, but they need more ammunition to push Russia back so that they can draw the line as it is. But I don't think it is going to happen because Putin is not ready to give up. He's not a good negotiator. He's trying to negotiate and so on and so forth. And so both sides are not ready to negotiate on a fine and thin line that will bring peace. And as a result, innocent lives are being taken away. And so one should be a good negotiator. If there is the need for you to give up as a man. Don't hang on your egos. It will not help you. Later on, if you don't do that, it will bring disgrace to you. Solve issues amicably. Star. Based on these two variables that you can use, your styles, your approaches that you can use. Competing, collaborating, compromising, and then what? Avoiding and accommodating. These are some of the tools and the styles that you can use in solving conflicts if you are experiencing conflicts. Or, as we know that, yes, dia etwie na eben. Na yeden a aware for de, yeden a meaning say you betray and now I will say you want to quite first one you be deal with conflict using these styles. You see, avoiding is a person who is not assertive at all and says, I have nothing to do with you or take part in this process. I don't care. You see, I don't care business will not help you. It will come back to haunt you. And in the church, don't let us be I don't care. You see, Christ triumphant. Ellen White says, God is not ready to have leaders who will do a halfway services, who will not fully be committed to the ministry, and that they are able to deal with the challenges that faces the church when it comes to sexual immoralities and fornications and adulteries and so on, sodomites and so on, that people, members are now finding their ways into. And so churches, church members, church leadership team should be bold enough to confront these issues that are sometimes coming up or showing up in some of the lives of our members. We want to help them to love Jesus Christ and to become committed to Christ and become faithful Christians. And so don't let us say we don't care. We have to be assertive, upfront, and making sure we are dealing with that, avoiding issues and conflicts and so on and so forth that you know will hamper your relationship. You must solve it. You must stand up to it. Collaborating. This person who is not assertive but is willing to cooperate. You see, you're not assertive, or the person is not willing to come on board with you for the problem or the issue to be dealt with. But he's willing to what? To cooperate. He or she is willing to cooperate. You see, a person is usually beaten up and will say to you, Annie, sure, as you wish, of course, it's a person who is giving up probably because of conflict. Multiple exhaustion experiences, and the other person comes to a point of saying whatever you say. That is the way it is going to be. So if you have a person, a wife or a husband like that, then that is good. He or she is easily collaborating. He's cooperating with you. Honey, oh, as it is, whatever you say, I go with it. Oh, as for you, whatever you say, I know you are using your wisdom to do it. So I support you. He or she will give you his or her support, full support, and then it becomes easy. It's a very unchanging circumstances because the person has lost the desire to say anything because it is not profiting of all, because always it is put in his or her way. You see, this is another way also. You see, the be our no winning argument. And as I know, would winning argument. But in the process of doing that, if you are more cases, we are more solving into now Obama into now pass over here near Masono. Now I say, honey, I am with you. I concur. I agree. Because I know whatever I say, you're going to win. You're going to take the victory. You're going to take the white card. And I'm going to be handed out the red card. You see, it is not helping, and it will not help the relationship. And this should be solving issues, should be win-win situation in the marriage. It shouldn't be one-sided approach, one-sided winning or winning all the time. The man winning all the time, and you humiliate the wife. And the wife winning all the time, you bring down the man. No. You see, this point of collaborating, if it is fishy, will not help you. It should be something that we all agree to, knowing that it is going to help both sides and that the two of us will live in peace amicably. Competitiveness or competitive, a person who is very assertive and not willing to cooperate or doesn't have the ability to understand the other person is the person who is very ready to fight every time when it comes to a critical situation, because she is not ready to give up. They are very willing to fight at any cost. Even a month now, one thing na yintimi solve. 2 months na yintimi solve. Beda ho sa eyi na yintimi solve. Na oba ne bema ye de ho keke kan ye ho. 1 month na oba nko bema ho. Bema so nko oba ho. Na fi conflict ninti. Meni ani je sem no behia. Meni ani je sem be kasa ho. There must be an explanation as to why people behave this way. There will be no happiness in this marriage, and the couple will die soon. The chances are that you are always right. Right is very smaller in these circumstances. It's always good to work with each other. Mr. Right all the time. Mr. Right, or Mrs. Right all the time. Who did they be away right? They be away any agreement to hands up as all winning. Now said that being or Berman so, and I saw Barnes no Cassini, a betrayal manatia, and a more betrayal manati, and a more betrayal reading so manati. this kind of competitiveness and marriage will not help. What are you competing with? And who are you competing with? You're competing with your own self. Because remember, the two of you have become one. Don't compete with each other. It doesn't sound well. Compromising. It is better for us to compromise sometimes. You see, this must be the ideal way. Basically, the two comes halfway. And everything willing to compromise to a certain way, in the middle way, to find a solution. We can disagree to agree. And this helps. Let's begin to have a compromising stance or way to dealing with conflict. Compromise will help the two of you. The better way acronym: before, empathy, target, time and place, express, historical or hysterical. Way no yeah win-win situation by analyzing the discussions that has gone on and then yoke. You see, I'm going to go through this quickly and then your questions and answers will come. Okay, the better way format. Proverbs 17 verses 14. The beginning of strife is, let me take this one off. It's like releasing, it's like the beginning of fight or strife. It's like releasing water. Therefore, stop contention before a quarrel war starts. You see, so conflict a beginning. It is a strife. It is like releasing water. When we say a trouble war, a coswa, a stati, bikra coup, be statia, a stati from baby. Nipa mi nibisha sino mudin komo. Ne koso nebi ana ebi ana leaky. Then the answer so by leaky. Now it's not almost strike here. They strike hard. And into the beginning of strife, it's like releasing water. That is the better way. Don't wait for contentions before a quarrel war starts. The group baby now fee. I yet in ding. You try and train. We also have no train. So the baby Diana said, and to Kabeba. It has all bound up Pimbe man, Nanoso, now Fee Bemanos, Pimo Banaso, now Fee a pra and a ye prepare home. Before dealing with a certain issue, I ask myself, do I actually know my wife or husband well enough to understand how they think, react to certain things? Idea or what importance would that be to him or her? Some may be can minimikupa. Some became into why not say, or maybe this uncle me, near service idea for an answer. Sometimes we do courtship, we study each other, and we try to see how each reacts to certain things when they come up in your discussions. Some of us, we are blind enough that we overlook those things. And when we marry again, and then after the marriage, things begin to what? To come up. They say, why all of a sudden you have changed? Then of course, you had love, and that love blinded you. Do I understand why my wife or husband acts this way in certain circumstances? Do I understand what is sensitive topics to him or her? Have I looked at that? You see, you look at these things before you begin or to engage solving issues. The element here is common sense and wisdom. Use your common sense and wisdom. We can predict if a conflict is going to what happen or not when we know our spouse well. When we say some way there, me kunu there, you need to cancel and cancel bias and biao. No, unia botre for some bias. And unia botre for kiki because or you're rough. And into the kiki about the end and our bregu cry. And a come yes one pay. You need to have what wisdom in dealing with him or her, such person. You see, it is important to ask yourself, what happens before a conflict will start or erupts? Like before, like a volcano erupts. That they detect it is so we can avoid lots of troubles and headaches considering these questions. So consider all these. It will save you from much headache and what? And trouble. So wait there, where you're just for be a meeting in a can wasm. But if you don't be a between a can wasm. Empathy. The Pakroni Shumo. The goals and the purposes and desires and then it's not met. And there is an issue that he or she wants to talk to you about. Put yourself in that person's shoes and understand him or her and calm down and sit down as a reasonable person with all wisdom to dealing and to coming into agreement with your wife or husband in solving issues. It is not always an easy thing to understand each other, given the fact that we are created different. Men are men and women are women. There is no confusion, wrong or wrong, that God made us this way. There is nothing to add to that. You see, there's no confusion or wrong that God made us this way. We come from different backgrounds, different upbringing, different behaviors, different attitudes, different thinkings, and so on and so forth. And so when issues come, we need to be so humble and empathize in that situation, and then understand each other as to how we can sit down and deal with issues. We get into much conflict because we lack empathy. Empathy is something when you try to at least understand the other one. You know, these are genuine steps and styles that we can use to solving issues. Empathy is something when you try to at least understand the other one. Understand your wife, understand your husband. And that will do you good. Connect emotionally versus hostility. You see, hostility will not help, Mr. Man. Hostility will not help you, Mrs. It will not help you to not do you good. Drop your hostility or mentality or character or attitudes or thinking and reactions. And what? Have an emotional heart and mind with your wife and husband into dealing with issues. The goal is not to defend personal agenda, but it's to solve the problem. You see a problem, you have seen it, it is coming, it is hurting the two of you, solve it. Drop your egos and solve the issues. To consider her or his needs, considering our mutual needs in a respectful way will help the two of you for the sake of time. Always being respectful. Respect your wife, respect your husband. That when he or she prompts you or calls you for you to sit down to what, to solve or to talk over issues, please agree, sit down and talk over things. There is no excuse to what, to being disrespectful towards your husband or your children. The children are watching, or your wife, the children are watching. They are learning, and they are taking stuff from the two of you. So please respect each other. As I said yesterday, a man needs his respect. A woman needs his affection, affirmation, and so on and so forth, love. You see, do not make a statement about the other, even in disagreement with each other. Connecting it with what we said yesterday. If not, we cut the cord of respect to each other. And cutting this record, man, you will have to earn it by going some 100 miles before you can earn that respect. You earn respect. And when you earn it, you will feel that, yes, I fit what? To be respected. So connect to God and pray. If you cannot pray, then stop. These are stuff that you can use to solve issues. Praying is important because marriage has its own component, a spiritual component. And so do not neglect God, even in your troubles. Cry unto him. He will come swiftly and help you deal with the issue at stake. Disrespect is when you try to become selfish. Say that my opinion only. It has nothing to do with the problem at hand or dealing with it. Not a fee or disrespect. Or yes, I'm not disrespect. Now, who told you? Have you thought about yourself? If we cannot pray, then the intent of solving a problem should stop. As Christians, we do everything by prayer, and prayer works. And so if we have a problem and we do not or cannot pray about it, when we must stop trying to what? Then we must stop what? Trying to stop or to what? To solve it. Because prayer is important. Allow God to come in and he will give you the wisdom, the humble heart to understand your wife and to understand your husband. Please, that will be a helpful way to go. God is ever ready. We are not. So the you see, now it is true. Anything you do in here, we are so perplexed, and some of us we are so much troubled because we do not go to God in prayer. We think we can do things our own, And that is the reason why today human inventions and so on and so forth. And we think that, yes, we can deal with issues by ourselves. But man, that institution you are in, a woman, that institution you are in, is God's institution, it's not yours. So when problem comes in that, go to him and seek his help. He is ever ready, gentle Savior, a kind God, compassionate, merciful, and he will help you. You'll be surprised about the help that he will give you. Let us tap into his unseen help, and we'll be amazed. You see, target, it is very intentional word, but very important. Be intentional, be clear about your intentions. That is, I have a problem, honey. I have a problem, and I need to talk to you about, and I say, I need to talk with you. My problem to say the I have a problem, and using I statements, and I need to talk with you and deal with one problem at a time. Don't add problem. Don't try to solve 2 or 3 problems at a time. You can do it effectively. That will settle your heart and your mind. State the problem briefly without getting into details. One sentence strategy that you can use is this. If I have a problem or something important to solve, I make a sign, raise a finger. This is what somebody is sharing, how he or she goes about solving issues. And I brought it here. I read that article and I brought it here. You see, if I have a problem, or if he or she has a problem, or something important to solve with his husband or with a husband or wife, you see, he or she makes a sign, raise a finger up. Everything stops there. Obahanu make a sign. Not Bemano Etias, yes, this sign my wife is calling me to sit down. There's an issue. There's a problem that we need to solve. That means that the other partner needs to stop right there to consider it being a serious thing and have to seriously manage the situation in a meaningful way. Obano, Bema sign, Bemano, and so Bema sign. Now, for me, now for my solve that issue. Deal with one problem at a time. And that problem, and so in conflict, people bring one problem upon another or one after the other, and that leads to making the situation worse. It will not help. You see, no chrono, na udedro me chrono meaning why you have a wound, and that wound has a dry surface. You don't have to be adding medication in trying to do away with the wound. Don't just add medication to that because it has a hard surface. The surface has tanned, and so or the face has tanned, and so you have to clear the face before you can apply medication that can go into the body and deal with the issue at the core of the issue, and making sure that the wound is being dealt with. That is what is troubling you. That is bringing you pain. And that is how you must tackle it. And so deal with one thing at a time, and don't add issues upon issues. Limit the discussion to one problem at a time and be very specific. That helps. Don't add problem to another. One sentence strategy. This means I have to sensitize or put my problem in one sentence. Some of us, we don't know how to construct shorter sentences. We write longer sentences. It means I have to clarify the problem in my mind before saying it. Before calling your husband or your wife to a table to sit down or to reason with you on the problem that is going on, make sure you have the words to simplify your concern for the understanding of your husband or your wife, so that the problem can be dealt with. We are always driven by emotions and upset, and so we talk too long, which does not help us to sort out problem in our minds. Yes, some doors due to say we are upset. You put a foot, your home put ding. If you feel free, into kasa, I be Uboha, Nibufua, Uhuna Nasam Kraka. Someone who would dip in power, and so Nibuafunti, Nasam can be there with you for. Short and concise. Be short and concise. Go to the point. Do not bring out the whole file. No, wow. You see, you fight, you don't solve anything, but a waste of energy and of what? Of time. Fighting will not help you. you waste your time and energy. So don't try it. So make sure these are the steps you're taking. And as Ellen White says, when we sin and we go to God, we must be embarrassingly what? Specific. Be specific. State your problem and state it clearly for the other significant partner to understand. Time and place. Find a time and place. When is a good time to find a place and talk, where we can sit down to negotiate, whether it's in the car, whether it's in the bedroom, whether it's in the sitting in the couch and maybe watching something. But I don't approve of you sitting down to solve issues and then watching TV and listening to the news. No, your attentions will be divided. This time you need the whole body, the whole mind, the whole heart to reasoning out the issues and solving it. You see, most of the times we can act on our instinct. That is, I just want to do it right now and right here. Don't do that. What you're doing, no, the problem not one. No, something is going on. And the idea, maybe it might not be on the instinct of the other partner to deal with the issue itself at that time. Be another man crying ready so be dealing with that the issue at that time. Because I'm a party. Now, say, if you said also use fork and what you see here, and then now we can have said no about chain or pastor no can say how to use a fork. No. Allow your wife to be, allow your husband to be. Man, you need to conform to don't cry no answer. Panic fear, good time. Now for what no quiet first one. If you use fork. Na eba menim kofo bebre ma kɔ party no be fidi ntokwa be fie ko bi party why you invite omo ba ne ntokwa edim omo wade agugugu. Why? What do you gain from this? So finding a time and place to talk over issues is a wise thing to do. That is the reason why Jesus took time in coming to this planet Earth. And that is the reason why Matthew said, at the appointed time, he was revealed, he came, and we saw him as a man. He was born, he ministered, he did this, he did that, he did that. God has time for everything. There is time for everything, time to even die. Choose the right time, conveniently for each other. This is important for the two of you. Choose the place. And they ever call Tim Hortons, Tim Hortons, fine. And you ever call drive through. Now, if you come and now you ever call pay pound be more now you didn't come. Fishes no cover, maybe a motor drana moving common solve issues. Opinion, the Moyan, and so moving come up. More use time. Now, time, no, it is meaningful to the two of you. Agree on how long you each going to speak. Obo an kasa wanti mu betumi de time atoso osomo wo nyai dan be kasa sa adwonya nsani ko kunya nsapɔhene obe kasa sa nko wo ditrim obe kasa sa ono no nim bibia. I know everything. What do you gain from it? Even Jesus didn't even talk like that. Be careful not to complain that when you speak, time flies by what? By fast. But when he or she speaks, it is long. I would kasa it will banner no kasa o paso twa no so na obam men penkofo a uno mudin kom no kate in. I know my right. Where are you going? What the right staff no kwanyin. Master, calm down, sister, calm down. Men fon kusifi do ye bia no ko kusifi anka ka otibi ani. Kasika wanya. Ka wiase a ga ni nyina kran keso. What are you gaining from all this? Take time to solving issues. Calm down. Due to work-related issues, putting the children to bed will help. Picking and dropping them to school will also help. It might be the issue at stake. Where they school, and so on and so forth and so forth. Due to work-related issues, you're busy. Putting the children to bed, picking and dropping them to school, helping each other is good. That does not always make it easy to find time choosing the place. But it is something important that we find a time and right place to talk to each other. So we'll find time. If you try to find time, time will find you. Time will avail itself for you to use to your advantage. It is just like a debate. You speak, and the other person have time also to speak or say something. And you conversation no more so, you comedy no more so. Nkasa wona wode ne Bible opportunity, okasa wona ontie. Wona the Bible opportunity there, what do you gain from it? Wode ne Bible nka wo benya sika ato obi nipa nyina wo wiase kra nka wunya. Masa, get that off. You are a Christian. Behave in a Christian manner, in a Christian way. Think differently from the world. Mama yen think differently from the world. Now you're different. When you call you into his marvelous light, mama behave as light children. Never boy. Why timing? Somebody time or so. The complaint is when you speak to me, your time is long. But when I speak, my time is short. It is cheating. But we kasadia, not time no short. A broke into Fenny Castle. Na yɛmhwɛ ne yɛnkɔ wode ɔkasa deɛ ɔba no ankasa miɛntwa so meɛnkɔ ɔno deɛ ɔkasa deɛ ɔntwa so meɛnkɔ na ne kasa awa na wode ato sɛ maa deɛ mo kasa awa nyɛma nyina nom kasa awa o binom nom nyansa papa nti mo yɛnto yɛbɔ asɛm awɔ we speak. The non-verbal or body language involves a lot. To ɔbaa no ɔka tie bɛma no ɔka tie woka no wɔtie na wode woka no deɛ wɔtwi w'ani wopɛ sɛ wɔntwa no asɛm so nti wɔtwi w'ani wohwɛ time woprɛprɛ wo phone. Don't do that, sir. Don't do that, woman. Give the same time for yourself and your partner equally in a way that is what? That is peaceful. Let me finish quickly. By expressing yourself. Express your feelings and ideas from your perspective by using the I statement. I feel, I see it this way. Do not interrupt, Kraobi Kasa. Speak only when your time comes. Don't make final sentence. Bema and make final sentence. Obana Casadia, and also Casabia, now the assembly betrato as a fana. And it will be kind a man who ha. Or Mohunus would ye, O come somewhere, or being can be named as some Corano, or one more sovereign, or Jim. Miss Amine, though it can be a Udia Menon Castle, Grandma Mary, the Menin Kunuda, Media Johnson Mitru, would it be our council, O Capenadi, see. Nasa Waka will be a some feeling a shillium. The million o kasha no so ba na duru baby no bole a wo be shock say wife kra na yaktisa na say ukunu kra na yaktisa no. Don't let this happen to you. Don't go to that. No sarcasm. When you see not sarcasm but man stretching much on that. You see a sharp or a bitter or cutting expression or a remark designed to cut or give pain, and often ironic language usually directed against an individual. Who you use words so sharp, so bitter against your wife or your husband. Na e kacho na kuma mo ti se bibi said the no mekan no or bad you no nyansa baby no nyansa no ma fa adwene. You see, that is so bad. When say Paul kan one 2 Corinthians chapter 6, mom yes no nyina reverence or from reverence or mom use harsh words. A catty piercing for heart in my mind. As any pan crow, any pan, that's what I'm from maybe on you better stop that or Christian in them. Wow. Control your tone of voice and body language. No be to mufiasm. No paso be a who is you're right. Opaso be a who is a no. What can home? Drink of 40 years when you're in your community. Hey, a German son and Wakano. Hey, brother Wakano. They be a woman contoka. As you for the beer to woman. They be solving issues. Yeah. And who be Satan, I feel, I see it this way. Use that I feel well, and as an I statement, I word to express yourself without letting your husband or your wife be angry. We each see things differently. Said the medical kind earlier on. Your boss is different. Baby, if you buy a different. Me fan say or sensing body a uja body no dey atum nti ebina one dey open tenten so be yi no dey be tia bomu no dey kona no obu abayero so twitwam peace na ekon chese obia se do si dankon obu oda ne che obu oda ne ye obu oda the full so and so on and so forth. You see baby atete me kasa say dey si kano e different say dey si solve issues e different, but you can harmonize it and making sure say you are solving the issues truthfully and faithfully in a win-win situation. We each see differently, even though sometimes we see things the same way. So it is important to use what? These phrases, because note, if you are in a negotiation seat, do not what? Make final statements. You see, when problem comes, we are both solving it. And so don't go say, what you are showing yourself, say, you are the final boss. And so whatever you say, it is final. No. I'm not going and I'm not moving anywhere. You see, these are the statements that what discourage the other significant partner for what? For agreeing and for negotiating or for what? Compromising with you and empathizing with you. I am not going. Your final words. I'm not moving anywhere. Your final words. These are not helping. What about later on you change your mind to go? The negotiation process at that time is over and finished. You have brought the negotiation to an end. No sarcasm. Oh, sure. These statements, I statement must be made nicely, an encouraging way, so that you both of you can continue solving the issue. I'm not going. I'm not moving anywhere. You are not going anywhere. And so on and so forth. Like say you own him or you own her. But are you paying the bride price? That doesn't mean say who only ukno and I say who only your husband. We should put my Virginia some. This almost you see, control your tone of voice and body language. Like when someone speaks, you are not what paying attention and you start looking somewhere. It is not good. Do not let the other person feel insignificant and inferior. If you do that, if you're not listening, you're turning this side, you're looking on your phone, you're checking the watch, you're looking through the window, and so on and so forth. You humiliate the person. You make the person look inferior. It will not help the other person. In a case, will not be solved. It shows a disrespect or you're disregarding the other person. Let me finish. Historical or hysterical. You see, speak when you are what? Speak when you are, do not speak and also speak when you are angry. And you will make the best speech you will ever regret. This is what Ambrose Bierce is saying. Speak when you are angry, and you will make the best speech you will ever regret. This man, I was surprised. When you are angry, and your heart is throbbing, just speak. Now, how foolish you are. Excuse my language. The words that will come out of your mouth, you will live to regret it. But it will be your best speech. Because a boy and someone, yeah. Mr. Kokwata, Kasawa, ya dear. Me pa no ya me say no. Me pa no di my terms are. Me pa no abre me suma sisa no. You live to regret. Na wan kasa bo no. Obema no be show ne ya pa. Man bia no ya. Na me man bi so no ya when they are angry. The way they will speak. Wow. You see, God, there's one side with God. When he's angry, he speaks and tells of you where you are coming from. He's the only one that can do that. When God is angry with you, then he will tell you where he took you from. He did this with the Israelites. I brought you out of the Israelites. No, out of bondage. I brought you out of bondage. You were in this, you were in that. And I brought you out of an outstretched arms. By my outstretched what? Arms. It is only God that can do that. When we do it, because we are not perfect, we will mess it up. And so when you're angry, don't speak. God is the only one who, when he's angry, can speak. And even his voice is so loving. Because he seeks our good. Don't speak, Mr. Man or woman, when you're angry. The question is, how long have you been in this dysfunctional state? Some will say it begins after the wedding or after the honeymoon. Oh, if you begin like that, then your marriage is not going anywhere. It is obvious that for some reason, some people have a long history of conflicts and never have been able to solve or manage them. And for some reason, they carry it on with them in a huge anger and sentiments. They have it in a bag. And that is haunting them. You see, if some people, they are known of being in conflict mood all the time. They enjoy it when there's conflict. And they will use that to their advantage. It is not helping. I know it's a family boha, family emonyo, and into omoyen to copper into or worry I know their Bible. Na or no dear, or bekata so say onisa man, unya be ya honeymoon na asas ye. In conflict, it is very easy to be historical or hysterical, Oh, don't you remember what you did last year or 2 years ago? Remember what you did? Oh, when did I do that? In the last month, etc. You see, there are women and men like that. Now, Debia conflict is book number 1999, you did this to me. 1994, you did this to me. 2003, you did it at this time. About pointy places in natural time, what do you gain from that? There are husbands who are like that. This is very emotional. When couples get into historical or hysterical, even though not all, but when it does happen, it becomes difficult to solve the problem. Let me get it to the end quickly. You see, Proverbs 19, verses 11 is advising us. The discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression. You see, people like that, they are so peaceful. They overlook certain things. Not that they don't care, but they overlook them for the sake of peace to prevail. You see, in the NLT version of the Bible, people with good sense restrain what? Their anger. You see, and may esteem by overlooking their anger. People who are like that, they are very good to be with. If we truly have forgiven others of their wrongs, we shouldn't bring them back to remembrance. Let's deal with people in a win-win what situation. The Chinese use that language with Americans when they are negotiating. Win-win situation. We want win-win situation. Use win-win situation to do fraud stuff and so on and so forth. They will sneak out and then go to the Russians and then they will do bad stuff. And that's what they are doing. You see, Mama forgive you. Forgive you. Forgive you. Now, brush it off. You see, win-win star, you can shake hand with a crouched hand in Dragandi and a we have to be willing to lose some and win some when we come to table to negotiate. You see, they be winning. Let's analyze and finish it. List all possible options, even the most absurd of them. Consider every possibilities. Don't rush in a decision. Agree when it is time to decide. You see, these are the things you can bring into negotiating table. Consider every possibility. Be consider. Consider how you can bring it to rest, or you can move forward with that. Don't rush in a decision. Decision no trouble. You don't take decisions on it by rush. Leave it. The decision will come as you think through and as you merge with each other and to what? Going on solving the issue. Agree when it's time to decide. That is when you come into decision. Whatever issues you have upon your mind, write them on a piece of paper. Someone said, write them even if it is what? 20 items. List all of them. Make decisions on that. Whatever may be the cost, we have to come to what? A definite what? Situation. So I'm bringing it to a close. The yoke deals actually with a biblical concept. Marriage is a yoke. Two people have lost of freedom. One day they decide to live what together or a yoke together to be together. Amos 3:3. Can two work together? Yes. Unless they agree. But some people get into marriage and all of a sudden they realize they have lost their what? Their freedom. Hey. But when we make a choice to marry, our choices are over and it's forever. That is the biblical understanding we must what have. So what can we come on? So on for what you come. What you come. With evidences are what you come. Massa, sister, so what you come. Don't look anywhere. Look at him or her. She's the one for you. He's the one for you. Don't look anywhere. There is no quality in the yoke itself, but it is when it is connected to something else because it helps you to accomplish something. The Bible says it is good not to be alone, but be yoked with someone is what is better. You see, having a good yoke is better, but having a bad one will be a load for you. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. It is an interesting passage. Read it. You see, for the sake of time, let me two are better than one. The summary of that. So marriage is better. It's a better experience. To have marriage, to have a husband, to have a wife, it's a better thing. The one year at the papa. Happy marriage don't happen by chance. You have to work for it, work at it, and it takes daily. You have to work on it with God for a happy marriage. You don't just marry and go and sit down and say, I'm expecting a happy marriage. Oh boy. My advice is before marriage, seek ministerial counseling, as we said yesterday and discussed on how to solve conflicts, arguments, and decide on it that yes, we are going in and we'll solve the problem together. Do you give the final decision to the man as the head? or man in the house to make the final decision, whether wrong or right. You see, there is a woman that I know, and she said, when we sit to decide on certain stuff, I give the final say to my man. He is the man. He says the final thing. But I will not allow him to say the final thing when it is not time for him to say the final thing. But after discussing everything and coming into certain conclusion and agreement, he has the final say. And I'll say, I'm at peace when I want him, because she knew the kind of man she is with. Then the woman do not have to come back and bash on the head of the man if it goes that way. And it's Obama ma Bema Nyans Kwan say, when I say fana, and it is anko yeah, and their decision on my back and be bash on the husband head and say, I know you say now you say, or not very for so na cast me final decision to be the ama and to young fam. Do whatever you can to make the other person happy, and let God be the center of your marriage. Without God in the marriage, there is no marriage. You don't have a marriage if God didn't allow you, because it is His institution. And let's get it clear. Marriage is good. Marriage is better. Marriage is fine. It's a good school to be. Harvard University, other universities, big universities, because of maybe poverty or addition in the city. But we are in the best institution. And this institution cannot be compared, Harvard cannot be compared to this institution, because this is an institution that is so amazing. Yeah, it is sweet. It is nice. It helps. And it will do you good. Madam Anwasi, questions and answers and contributions. Most chairman again taking time.
Pastor Amofa, thank you very much for that presentation. Please raise your hand if you have any questions or contributions, and I'll call you to bring your contributions or questions. We are taking questions and contributions. If you have any, please raise your hand.
Contributions are between the other. You line among you read.
Yeah, from Cabo saying that it's been a blessing. Thank you. As them say, adeɛ no akɔ yie paa nti ɛnze obiara ne question anaasɛ contribution no. But yɛgu so twɛn nti pakyɛ wowɔ contribution anaasɛ question a paba na pastor address it ɛmfa ɛma wo.
If you want the PowerPoint, I can send it to you. Give your emails to the elders. They will send it. I will push it to you to help you.
Yeah, starting please go ahead.
Pastor Mpacho, with the why are they wakasa na minshra. Na o can be said o problem na as I say maybe some question ma yinya as I say mo chance na mo solve na other party no so mpese obeti bibia. O mpese obeso bibia. On the as long as say o de no kasa na mo kwana mo ba no bibia issue bia ni ho opese solve. And also be any day.
Thank you, sister. Question to all of us. We don't say Bibu, but other party significant partner no doesn't see it that way. No, on what do? Do you go and pull him or her force, put him on the seat, talk to him or her, or you allow it to be? Or what do you do? Brother Fawe, yeah, no, yes, sir.
So this man I say. So I think at this stage you just have to get a counselor or a pastor involved who can mediate both parties, so that opportunity to be created for the discussion. Because if you want to force it, it will lead to more conflict. Probably the other partner is not seeing reason why we should sit and discuss. But when the counselor or the pastor comes in, he or she might find reason to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Manasseh. Is there any other?
I think so. So I started with prayer and fasting. Go on your knees, open up to God what is going on. And you don't like it, and you want the marriage to be the way God has instituted it. So you can do that, and if that doesn't happen, like the brother said, you can get the pastors involved and see how they go. Because sometimes you have to be careful too. If you go that way, then it can even worsen the case too. So it's tough one, but people do that too. So it's very frustrating if somebody has to go through that way. But I think we should pray, fast about it and pray. God can do anything. He can soften the hearts of anybody.
That is good. Thank you.
So if you do your part, you try, and it doesn't work, there's nothing else you can do. You seek for counseling. And if he doesn't want to do it, you just leave and do your part as much as possible. But it's not a pretty thing to go through, but it happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Thank you for the two answers. You're good. So, Pacho, you okay? Oh. It's a grace. Oh.
Pastor Pacho Mewaha.
Good.
So won't share some pabuana, won't tell say, me who be the say, nipa the senior or two on pese or be discuss anything as long as say, we be jano one, bibia and family. That's the national anthem. Now, me there radia say, you share your manner or more in a woman who yans a chain. Yeah, mammy no money, yeah, generation, no. Nti pastor say ya ka asem na ya na asem na enye simple senia eya na mo ka no no wonkote wo bi da wo be ka ne saa nipa kra ba no se bi kra wo po akofre obi so ombra obe sori eje nipa that time let self for my obe timi asori no eje nipa no wadem ho no ko nti aware ye empaibo pa ye empaibo pa.
It is.
Yes, that's it. You have to pray.
Good. Yes, Sister Tina, now a question. Mr.
Actually,
na me person ka me de kakra ka sa asemia anti Grace bisa en ho ansa na yakọ first.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I na me worry, I was in Kaswa and I had to handle a marriage issue in which the man had left the wife for 3 years. And the reason is that the wife at a point introduced a girlfriend to him. And for whatever reason, he also went in for the lady later when the wife was preventing him from, having sexual affairs with her. And later when the wife had seen that the guy had developed so much attention for the lady she had introduced to the husband, she became angry, reported to the elders that the husband was, into an extramarital affair. And when it went out that way, he decided to leave the house. So he had left the house. He came to where I was worshiping. Very, very good gentleman. And we had to, later when I got to know about his story, pastors had tried to work around it for a long time. He was not giving any attention. But he told me about it. And I started praying with him and also praying for him.
So just as Auntie Tina rightly said it, prayer is a very important key. When we continue to pray about this issue, whenever I went to him, I would call him, let's pray about this. Sometimes he was sluggish, but we still continue to pray. I continue to pray for him until finally one day he came to tell me that now he wants to go back and get his wife back. That is when he realized and opened the channel for communications, once again. And by the grace of God, the following month, he had already made arrangement to go and visit the wife, and they were able to settle the situation. And now they are living together once again after 3 years of collapse. And he was already even, taking care of somebody at the secondary school to get married to that person. So it's very complicated. There are so many times people may not want to open up for various reasons. But based on this issue I'm talking about, I know prayer can open such doors and let communications go on.
Thank you so much for receiving. Mr. Tina, you have a question? Mr. Tina, are you there? You can ask your question.
First of all, let me put that question. Yeah, question. But another contribution, I don't know, Sebia and Ram Naminiho anti minim Sebia already. Yeah, there's something on Ministry of Healing, page 360. I wish I read this book before I got married, but I didn't. But by God's grace, we put God as the center, and it has been working so far. Thank God. But I want to read it for the young people. If we have time, I want to read that portion. A Ministry of Healing. I don't know if you read the page 360, the last paragraph. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Though difficulties, perplexities, and discouragements may arise.
Yes, we read it yesterday.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. So
we read it yesterday.
Please go ahead. There were so many of people who were not around.
Oh yeah, please go ahead and read it again. We touched on that yesterday, but please read on.
I think it's very beautiful for the young people. Yeah. Though, because marriage is not all that roses, okay? So, though difficulties, perplexities, and discouragements may arise, let neither husband nor wife harbor the thought that their union is a mistake or a disappointment. Determined to be all that it is possible to be to each other. Continue the early attentions in every way. Encourage each other in fighting the battles of life. Study to advance the happiness of each other. Let there be mutual love, mutual forbearance. Then marriage, instead of being the end of love, will be as it were the very beginning of love. It continues with the warmth of true friendship, the love that binds heart to heart. It is a foretaste of the joys of heaven. Isn't this beautiful? If we Christians can really understand why God binds us together, and we go about this principle, there will be peace in our homes. But unfortunately, Satan, marriage is the first thing he's attacking, and the Sabbath, So we have to be, sometimes it saddens me if we have to discuss these things in our Christian setting, because it looks like we don't understand really what the marriage God instituted for us is about. But again, because of Satan, we need to be revised. So Pastor, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Yeah.
Praise the Lord. Thank you so much, sister, for that wonderful, inspired writings that you read for us.
Pastor, sorry, before Brother Eric will come. Permit me to introduce Elder Safo, Kwaku Safo. Elder Kwaku Safo is the father to our sister Akuya Safo. He's joining from Ghana, and maybe he might want to say something because it's very late in Ghana. So that's, yeah. So Elder, can you hear me? Elder, me pa choti minka. Elder Safo.
Maybe he's having some.
Yeah, maybe he's muted. Okay, maybe yeah, bet me to also say, oh yeah, ready.
Yes, so Steven is already ready. But
Yeah.
Phil Pajanans first. Phil, please go ahead. Eric, you come in, then Sister Manchuaka will come.
I think this inspired writings that Sister Tina read for us, I think we must all type it. Like I said yesterday, put it in your bedroom for both of you to be reading all the time. It is a wonderful reading, wonderful inspired advice. Okay, Ms. Eric, go ahead.
Is it me? Okay. So yeah, Pastor, thanks again for this very afternoon. I have two forms of questions. I hope today I will be able to answer the two.
Yeah, don't ask hard ones.
I got one chance. All right, yeah. So thank you, because so there's one thing you mentioned which brought my attention to something that I learned from a couple in a way where they wanted to create such a culture where they will have open communication and the mutual respect to prevent this kind of conflicts. I remember I heard from a couple where they have a specific time where they gather again and then discuss about what went on, during say a week or two or the whole month. That if I did something that you did not like, and then you also did something that I don't like, we can have an open conversation. Just be frank with me and tell me what's going on, and that kind of mutual respect. And I realize, I think you mentioned it, there are some of them, they will just have a whole booklet and then write from day 1 to day 30 what you did. And so when you have that kind of conversation, they have to now open your booklet, the book of life, and then read to you exactly that whatever you did throughout the whole month that they did not like. And I think you spoke nicely about that, which is very good, that all these are not useful. At least let's respect one another, and then that mutual respect will help us to deal with our conflict in a very good way. Now it comes back to my question. My first question is, in a way to create a balanced assertiveness, empathy in conflict management or conflict management, how can we ensure a fair resolution? I don't know. I think Elder Safo is back. If he wants to, I can.
Yes, please. I'm back.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, you probably can go ahead and maybe I'll come with my questions.
Oh,
I could hear your feedback.
Okay. The South African tanker, a father of a queer from a South African tanker.
Oh, nice.
I'm happy to join you this evening.
Wonderful. We're also happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Which part of Ghana are you?
I was in Temaba, now living in Kumasi, South Central SDA Church.
South Central. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Then we might have some church members.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Apia Dankwa, Sister Sapoma, they all came from Centres. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
And I also happen to have friends over there.
Okay.
So, the one who just passed away, Mr. Elder Adejuma.
Adejuma, okay.
Yeah, the son is Kwaku Juma is my classmate. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah, and Elder, when some of your members are coming to Canada, don't tell them to go to Toronto. Toronto is true. Tell them to come to BC.
Okay.
Everybody's going to Toronto. Yeah.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a wonderful family here, and I know your daughter has
I
a
think
very good family here as well to worship with.
Akuya from Mama is a special teacher for Sabbath school. He can
Oh,
teach.
wonderful. Elder, I thank you so much for joining the Sabbath school department.
We are
And in
very happy
fact,
to hear this. We are very happy to hear this.
Or maybe you were mentioning
Secretariat.
some of her strengths. I cut you off, please. Can you carry on? So we get all her strengths.
He can be secretariat. He's a teacher. She don't like teaching.
Amazing.
She's a lecturer, but he don't want to.
Anyway, you are in trouble. Okay.
Elder, add more. Any singing qualities or any other things
When
like
she was
that?
living, she's a singer too.
Oh,
She was a member of a Legon choir. Yes, auto singer.
Oh.
In Sister Kuya, obo to nene no ama meshe enyum ni sa.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. And we are so happy to hear
I'm
from you.
happy.
I know you will be joining us quite often for
by the grace of God.
Our worship. Okay. Thank you
By the grace of God.
Thank you
Welcome. Welcome.
All right. Maybe for us to quickly continue with our program.
Okay.
So Pastor Amofa, so me starting a question into you. Okay. So I said I have two questions. My first question is, how does one create a balance between being assertive and showing empathy in conflict situations to be able to ensure a fair resolution? For example, Omar, you gave a very good example where there's one party is always winning in the argument, right? Sorry, in the conflict, because we're lowering the standards, or maybe you say on pent or quentin, then everything you say, okay, you win. But in this way, I want to know how we can be able to create that balance between being assertive and then also showing empathy in a conflict situation. A fair resolution. And my other question, say maybe you can take it from whichever end. How do kids or children get involved in conflict resolutions pertaining to their parents? If I say kids, I don't mean well, maybe kids is too young. So maybe let me say adults who are still living with their parents. And when parents are having conflict, how do they get involved and what is their role? Well, what can they do? These are my two questions.
Okay. I think that you're not putting this question to me alone. We are all discussing it together. We
Absolutely, yeah.
Please, let's talk. Let me morning the question one. Let's answer.
Pastor, for the second one, I can talk a bit about it.
Great.
I think 3-4 years ago, I handled a situation in Germany, and it was 2 years. I was going back and forth, reporting to the pastor. Go and talk to your people. So it got to a point, I involved their first child, who was by then 16. I gave her the strategy. Wake up very early morning whilst your siblings are sleeping. Wake your dad, wake your mom, and tell them you want this house to be peaceful because of your future. You cannot learn because of that. It really hit them hard. But the woman took offense. One party took offense, I must say, that the child has been involved. Fast forward, that marriage hit the rock. And just last week, the party who got the divorce, who filed for the divorce, called that, oh, now the father is getting married to another person and the children are so worried, not knowing what to expect. And I said, that was my fear. That is why we were trying to solve the whole situation. So sometimes you can involve the kids when they are matured enough to speak something. And we must also listen to them because they are not just kids. They are also shareholders. They have a huge stake in the marriage. And if marriage doesn't work, in fact, the kids suffer very much than the adults. So we have to be very careful when we are making that decision. It's not for ourselves only, but we should think about the future of our kids also.
Hello. I want to say something. I understood the question to be, what role can we play as children, right? Or like, let's say, yes, as an adult children to the parents. And I am also thinking that sometimes, back home, there was one time my dad and my mom, they were having an argument. My younger sister was like, "Mommy, stop this, stop this. You're at fault. You're at fault. Stop this." She found a way to let my mom understand that she was at fault and that she had to accept the defeat and then let the whole thing be resolved. So we should be very smart about it. She didn't go about it by, let's say, shouting on my mom and all that. No, she did it with so much wisdom and with care, with diligently and all that. So for we the children, I think we have to make sure that definitely there's some times you might not know what is happening in the marriage, but during adulthood, our mothers especially can be confining. They can confide in us, so we usually get to know what is happening in the marriage. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we always give the right, we don't have to take sides. We have to make sure that the marriage works. So instead of us to take sides, we should be very objective and then give the right advice. That is what I think I can, that's my side of contribution. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, my dear sister. Thank you. Is there any other answer? Does anyone wants to speak?
Pastor, I think it's a very dicey situation. If you see, I have just been married barely a year now, and there is one thing I have learned, that issues in marriage, the only people who understand it is the couple. Apart from them, nobody can understand the issue to advise them in whatever possible ways. So I think depending on the kind of culture that you have in the home, that is what will help to include the children in the discussion. Whether or not it is good for them to be part of the discussion depends on the kind of culture you have nurtured in the home. For instance, in my family, if there is any issue, my father, he doesn't care who is talking about the issue. All that he wants is that someone is talking. And my father is very open to us whenever there are things to talk about. So my brother can call me, any of my sisters can call me, I can call any of them. This is what I have seen, this is what is going on. Let's call daddy. We call him, we talk about it. We all can be on the phone, talk about the issue together, whatever the situation is. But if in the home there is not such a culture, and all of a sudden a child is brought into the issue to talk about the issue that they may not really understand how it started, where it is going, and have the total picture of it, it can be very problematic. So I think we should be very much considerate about the culture that has been built in that home before we think about letting children be part of the discussion or not. That is how I understand it.
Good. Thank you, Brother Stephen. That is good. Is there any answer again?
Brother Joshua has his hand up. I don't know.
Oh, Brother Joshua.
Okay, yeah. Please, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, there's so much noise up where I'm. Brother Eric asked 2 questions. So the first one, what I would say about it is, we shouldn't take somebody lenient to be his weakness. Yeah. So if it is because you find out that the person is, let me say, soft, so every day you bully the person for the person to say, because you know that the person will not argue with you for long, so you try to bully and the person, oh, it's okay, it's okay. You who is doing that is not right. And then you, the person saying it's okay too. At times, it's not all the time you have to say it's okay. At times, you have to speak out in a lovely way to let a person know what you are doing is not right. But at the end, we all want peace. So if I will be there, like I don't really want to hear this word or use this word that in marriage one must be a fool. So who is the one to be the fool? To me, I believe we must all be fools, we must all be wise. We should discuss everything and put it at the right perspective. We should understand ourselves. So you can open out, though my nature is that I'm soft, so I don't argue much, but that doesn't mean you should bully me as well. So, because if it happens, like yesterday we discussed, it will get to a point, like that Cam says, in short, if that happens, then it's going to be worse. It's going to be worse. And then on the second one, what I would say is, like what Brother Steven was saying, it depends on the nature of the house. But I would say we shouldn't just involve our children in our marriage issue unless like we have that culture that we discuss everything together. Then you have, because if the conflict starts, it is true the couples have to try to deal with it. If they couldn't, that is why we have to bring a third party. So if the children come in straight away, and it will be dangerous that, like a father, I would say, oh, have you seen what your mother is doing? Have you, like, polluting the children? That is also bad. You should deal with it if you think it's not happening. And then you have the children in your conversation and everything. Like I think Brother Eric himself said about people who have time that they open up and talk about themselves. You can bring it at that family meeting that this is happening and then I don't like it, or this is happening in the family. How do you think about it? Because we do that every day, so everybody will share their idea, and then you, the couple, can discuss it later in. But on the other hand, like we here, we are children to our parents, but we are also parents and adults. So if you see something which is going bad in our parents' marriage, that one, as children, adults, we have the right to call our father, call our mother, and tell them, "I've seen this, and I think it is not going to help us. So let's try to find a way to do it." But we shouldn't bring the children to come and solve our marriage issue for us, especially when they are minors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brother Joshua, Brother Stephen, and those that have earlier on contributed. The sister who also spoke. You all did well. You all have provided the right answers for the questions. I think,
Pastor,
yes.
So Sister Amanchua has put in the group that she has a contribution to make.
Yeah, Pastor,
Oh, okay.
I have a
Sister Antua, please go
contribution.
ahead.
Yeah. I read a book somewhere, it's a psychology book, and it says unconditional love, unconditional respect. So no matter what my husband is doing, whether it is good or bad, it's unconditional respect on my side. And for the love, it's unconditional love. If we always remember this, during difficulties, we still have to respect, we still have to love each other. It's very difficult, like Mama Grace was saying. If you're not in the shoes of that person, you might not understand. But we have to like more like learn how to do it consciously, respect unconditionally, and love unconditionally. And men can also respect women. Women can also love our men. So it's not like if the man is always supposed to love us and all that. No, it's unconditional love, unconditional respect. And another thing is we have something called strange women and strange men. When you are married, there is always going to be one person, either a male or a female, who will be like, let's say for the women's side, we will have a male friend, and for the men, they'll have a female friend who will always all the time be by your partner's side. And they are the very people that if you don't take care, they end up cheating with your partner. Because whenever you have issues with your partner, they tend to go to them, sought for advice, cry on them and all that. And these people, I'm telling you, they are always going to be against you. They are strange women, strange men. It could be your sister, it could be your friend, it could be anybody. Like what Brother Stephen was saying, I guess the man got closer to this woman's friend at the very time when they were having issues. And because this friend was not having a good intention for the marriage, she stepped in. She just took it as an opportunity and then stepped in. That's what they do all the time. So we have to be very, very careful, very prayerful, because these people, they're always going to be there. There's always going to be one person, one person, like somebody that is so close to your partner. It can be their boss, it can be their secretary, whatever. But they don't like you at all. They wish the marriage was dissolved for them to take over. And we should also be very careful, because they are not in the marriage. They will be seen as the best person on earth. Like, you might think, oh, this person could have been the best partner for me. You are lying. If you would have gotten married to that person, maybe your wife or your husband they could be the worst for you. But because they are not with you in the marriage, they are trying to pretend to be the best partners, in quotes. So you always want to compare them. Oh, this girl loves me more than my wife. And then this woman will always be there, and you can end up cheating, and it will break up your marriage. Please, let's be very careful. The strange men, the strange women, very, very careful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. Yeah, it's an advice to all of us. But Eric, are you answered? Eric.
So yeah, Pastor.
Hello, Pastor. Yeah, this is Sheila. And I also
Sheila.
think, yes, please. I also think adult children should start praying for their parents, marriage especially. Pray for them so that there will always be peace at home. We also owe care of duty to them. We don't expect them to be praying for us all the time. It's time we also start praying for them. Even when there's conflict, before you give advice to your parents, either your mom or your dad, you should first of all pray about it. Because it's God who is going to touch the person's heart to listen to whatever you are saying. So I think we have to pray for them all the time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sheila. Thank you. But Eric, you were saying something.
Yes, I just wanted to emphasize that, yeah, those are very beautiful comments. and remarks on the question. So that's very, very important. I think I liked how many of you put it, in the sense that do not take a stand when there's conflict. And then also remember to pray for your parents. I wanted a different answer to the fact that one can mention that based on an experience they've had. For example, two parents or a couple had conflict, and then I think probably Manasseh mentioned that the child or the kid that was involved made sure that those parents got back together. Not anything that they did special, but for the fact that they remember them, that you guys are uh the big bosses. If you fight, then everything down here collapses. And so think about your future, think about our education and everything, that if you get a divorce, which I know most families will not consider that, but it can lead to that. And so some of those kids can let the parents think about all of these negative consequences, and then later on can get back to, because they know themselves way better than every person, because how they fell in love in the beginning is not you. You're not the person going to mind them. God will. But maybe sometimes they might have forgotten certain things that when you remind them, it will help to resolve the conflict. So thank you so much, all of you that gave contributions.
That is good. Yes, Sheila, I think your hand is up. Oh, Brother Philip. Okay.
Oh yeah, Pastor, thank you though. Yeah, I think I raised my hands early, but I don't know if he, what is his name, Eric, if he is okay with his answers. But
Yes.
what I think, people mentioned that we should let the children to be involved when the couple's having problem. From my perspective, I don't think it's a good idea. And another thing is you make maybe a third party who's a friend. I don't think friend can help when the couples they get problem for their marriage. The one thing I think is will help is a counselor. That will help better than you bringing your friend to your marriage. Because as a Christians, we have a lot of pastors who they're counseling for marriage. So I think it's better that way. If you have any problem for your marriage, then it's better to, if you try to solve it and it doesn't working out, that this what you should do is like let maybe a pastor who is counseling can be involved with the marriage. That will help rather than go to a friend. That's what I can advise for. I mean, for Eric, his question. Yeah, and the children to be involved, I don't think I will have. The children is going to be one side. And they're still going to think about it when maybe especially maybe they are in school, it's going to rule their mind. It's going to bother them too much. So you don't let the children to be involved on the problem right away. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brother Philip. I hope, yeah, you have a different thoughts on that. And yeah, there are certain issues that is not advisable for children to come in but there are certain times that children can also help in some situations to help bring peace. And it is all telling us that when we are adults, we are of age. And so when problems comes, let's solve it and put it away. As the children can come in, because sometimes the children can just come in to your surprise and say, Dad, what are you doing? Mom, stop the fight, this and that, and it doesn't help. And some of us, we do it in the presence of the children, and that the children can come in. When we do it in the presence of the children, they can come in. You cannot just shut them down. You see, and that is the reason why we must act and behave as adults. We don't do things just like that in the house at the expense of the children. As you said, Brother Philip, it will not help the children, and it will be in their hearts and in their minds. So it is better when the children see whatever problem is going on, you explain it to them for their hearts and their minds to be at rest. Some of them, they might not take it, they might not understand it, but use simple words for them to understand. Come to their standard and explain it to them. And so please, sometimes God can use the children to teach us lessons. We as adults, and we have an example in the Bible. God uses children to accomplish his goals, like Samuel, so on and so forth. When the adults were misbehaving, God called out Samuel, a child, to lead. And so please, I pray that we will be matured enough and be up and doing when there are issues in the family. Else, God will use the children to teach us lessons. But when it is time for them to come in, yes, if it will help the issue to be solved, yes, God can use them, and let's allow them and teach them and explain things to them. And yeah, sometimes counselors are there, pastors are there, and so on and so forth. But at a point in time, those things can also happen. And so let's get to dealing with issues. Don't let us harbor them and putting them there and putting them in the bag. At the point in time, the children will come in. If you don't want them to come in, Mr. Manuasi from Cho, Mr. Moderator, you can take over if there are no questions or answers anymore.
Yeah, Pastor, I have a question here. My question is not too hard though, but my question is this: is it possible, like, is it always the man supposed to bring happiness in the marriage?
Oh, okay. Yes, Sister Shimon.
Okay, Pastor, my question is, how do you handle a man who easily gets angry?
How do you handle a man who is what?
Who easily gets angry and who feels he's always right? Thank you.
Who is always angry and
who feels he's always right? Yeah.
Oh, okay, Mr. Right. Okay. All right. I was saying, "Man, kwan na di ani jeba abusuan mu ana na mama answer, mama yenyi question me no Brother Phillips and Sister Shimon."
I haven't raised my hand yet, but I just wanted to give a quick one. It's the two of us. Like, I've been married for 12 years now, and if I'd let my husband be the sole person to bring happiness, I think by now, like, I would have been divorced. Because there are some days my husband is so like occupied with work, he's so stressed, and then I have to step in, create varieties of ways for us to spice our marriage, ways for ways to improve dialogue, communication, everything, so it's like, for happiness to gel in the marriage, first we need God, second is the two of us. It's a triangle. It's the two of us. We need to work at it every day. It's a school that you can't finish. You just can't finish marriage. It's like every day there's bound to be issues, then you're solving it, then you're moving on, then you graduate, and then you also find yourself like into another situation. So please, it's not only the men. Please, women, we have our part to play, and let's do it, please. Thank you.
Good. Sister Amma. Brother Philip Pacho, when we say be once I know if it is answered, or question if it is answered. Obia both partners
Yeah, it's pretty good. She answered it, but yeah, the way she answered is a little bit, outside down. But what I'm saying is, a man, you are the head of the house. So is that correct, Pastor?
Yes.
Okay. So I think 85%. A man is supposed to bring the happiness into the marriage. Sometimes you have to, bring some jokes. Not only that, sometimes you can plan and, go to your wife. I give a friend I know him almost like a decade now, but the way he treats his wife, sometimes he say, okay, it's a long weekend. Let's go to maybe Victoria, Vancouver Island, all these kind of things. It can bring happiness. Though where we come from, now we are like modern world, but our grandparents, they don't do this kind of things. And I think it don't help, like take holidays, go to maybe spend time with different place and let it's like a date. Bring like something like when you meet the woman you like the first time, you take her to a date or something, that kind of, I don't know how to end it. Like,
Yeah, but
you know,
okay.
so if we live together, can we do that kind of thing sometimes so the marriage can still be fresh? Not always. Sometimes you take your wife like, okay, today, love, you don't have to cook at home. We're gonna go to restaurant and eat. Not always banku and fufu at home. That kind of thing will happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that is exactly what Sister Nchua said. But both of you can contribute to the joy and happiness of the family. And it is not one side only. It is not the man only. It is not the wife only. Both of you. But if as a man you want to do more to spice up your marriage, it is welcome. Your wife will not hate it. Your wife will embrace it. He will accept it. And so if you have that appetite, that happiness, that joy to bring happiness all the time, it is good. It's a positive thing to do by bringing happiness and joy to your family all the time, making your wife laugh and feel happy. Yeah, your wife will live longer for you, and you enjoy her so much, and she'll open up for you. Because, please, let's do it, Brother Philip. Let's do it. That is good. All that you said is good. Taking her to Vancouver Island and so on and so forth. And she in turn also doing something, cooking for you at home. It is good. All the both of you are bringing joy into the family. So do it, please do it, whichever way you can do it. Sister Shimans, let's whoever who is
Pastor, thank you very much. I think communication is the key word here because sometimes you go to a certain home, you wouldn't see married couples communicating to each other. Most of them will be busy on their phones. The man will be holding his phone. The woman will be holding her phone, busy chatting with other people, and it's not nice. When I was a kid, I had this couple friends. They don't talk to each other. Most of them are, especially the man, always busy with himself. He doesn't chat with the woman. If you see them chatting, then it means Sheila is there. The moment I go there, I call the man fake pastor. The moment I go there, Pastor Lulu, I'll call his name. They'll be laughing. Then it's like it will bring them together. Then all of us will be engaging in some communication. The moment I leave there, then communication cuts. Sometimes even, excuse me to use this word, even sex, you should communicate with each other. how you want your partner to do it for you, the styles that you want and stuff like that. You should talk about it. It spices the marriage, and I think it will make it work. So communication should be the key word here. Thank you.
You said it right. Communication leads to better things. So let's communicate. Communicate about sex. You shouldn't have even said or ask for excuse or whatever. We are matured here. Yes, God invented and created sex. Oh, God gave us sex. It's a joyful thing to do, but it's in the confines of marriage and not outside marriage. Adultery, fornication, and so on and so forth. So you're right. But if you have a husband who gets angry easily during communication time, you have to be praying. We have been told prayer does many things. Be praying and let God give you wisdom as to how to deal with that man. It will not be easy to have a man who easily gets angry or a woman. You need to be praying, be tactful, be patient enough, know the good times and the bad times, not to engage in conversation with him or her, good times to talk to him or her, and please be praying. Be praying. If he or she is not willing, be praying. If he or she gets angry so easily, be praying. And allow God to put the props for you. Allow God to tell you when to speak and when not to speak. It will work out. It's not easy to be with that woman or man. It is not easy. I pray that all of us will have a heart and mind that is so humbling enough to reason with each other. That will help. Okay, over to Mr. Moderator. Oh, Samsung. Oh,
Pastor, that is me. I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, yes.
So, Pastor, from what the contribution Sister Sheila just gave, if one of the partner decides to speak about their sexual life and the other party is not like into such conversations, what happens? How should the other party go about it?
Okay, it's a question to all of us. Please, let's answer our brother. Sister Tina will start first.
Well, it's tough because then you just have to tell him what you want. Yeah, if he doesn't want to compromise, if he doesn't want to talk about it, you can't force him. You pray about it, and if he still doesn't want to, you just tell him what you want.
Oh, okay. That is good. Good one.
Thank you, Auntie Tina. But we can recall Brother Stephen gave a scenario about a man leaving the wife and going to the wife's friend. So let's assume, I'm just putting this scenario in that friend's story. Let's assume the man kept talking to the wife about what he wants, how he wants it, blah, blah, blah. But the wife was not accepting or doing so. Probably we wanted the next step because probably praying about it, he didn't get any solution instantly. So probably that led him to do that mistake, going to the wife's friend. So how do we go about such situations so that it will bring calmness to the home? That is my question.
Maybe I should say this, that the man actually, he was the elder of their church at the time. And according to him, his wife was not responding to his sexual request. And because of that, the lady, that is the wife, told him that the wife called him one day and presented her friend to him, that he could have sex with the friend if he wanted. To him, he said he went to the extent of even reporting that issue to the women ministries leader in their church, that this is what my wife has done, because she is not ready to continue to have affair, sex with me. And when that happened, he didn't do that until the wife still continued to deny him. Then he later fell into the trap. It is a very difficult situation when some of these things happen, especially when you want to talk about issues and the partner is not interested in talking about such issues, especially relating to the sexual life. I think it can be very disturbing, which can lead in either of the couple to, get into something else, something detestable. But I think the key thing is that if we open the channels of communication, that is very important. We should not get to a point where we throw our hands in despair into the air and withdraw from furthering such communications because the other party is not interested in hearing it. It becomes, at that point, I think the marriage is heading for doom, because there is no way to handle and to push it forward. I think that is what happened to them. And when this man finally started, sleeping with the other woman and neglecting his responsibilities at home, he told me, yes, it is true. I started neglecting my responsibilities at home because I didn't know why I had to do that. I did. So that is what happened, and it was a very terrible situation, which I pray should not happen.
Thank you, Brother Stephen. That was good.
Yep. Pastor, can I say something here, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, Stephen, that situation is pretty tough. But as a Christian, we have to remember the word that Jesus said, though. Maybe it's not the same, but Jesus said to Peter asked Jesus, how many times that my brother sin against me, I forgive him, right? So marriage is something, is a family. So if your wife, you need something and she can't do it, maybe it's a different way you want it and the wife can't do it, I don't think, and maybe the way she say, okay, go have my friend. And as a man, okay, you go and talk to the church, then after she still can't do it, then you go and have with your wife friend. I don't think that is the right thing. Let's bring Abraham here. I think Sarah tell Abraham to go and have affair with their housemate. But at the end, when Ishmael was born, that is not a promised one. So Abraham done something wrong. So as a Christian, when we say we are married and we stay on it, devil can go other side, open the back door, and we will think it's good, but it's not really good. So as Auntie Tina said, if it's something that happened, pray. If you pray and you wait and the answer is not coming, I think you have to stay away. You don't have to go and make yourself dirty. So I don't think that might do what is right.
Yeah, that is very true. He was wrong, and that is why he came to his senses later. He was wrong.
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Philip, Sister Pat, what do you mean by saying exploring? Sister Pat, can you put some words in that? Is Sister Patience there? Is it Patricia or Patience?
Patience.
Oh.
Patient, Pastor. So with my exploring, what I mean is as couple during the acts, you know, couples who mostly a partner doesn't want to talk about what he or she wants. Maybe he or she is not comfortable talking about it. So with my exploring, what I mean is during the acts, you observe where you touch and how he or she responds to the touch and all that. So with that, you can kind of conclude and know what exactly he or she wants, but just that he or she doesn't want to talk about it. So the touch and during the act, you observe how the person responds to it, and maybe whether you can know. That's my meaning of the exploring.
Oh, okay.
Searching to know, or kind of searching to find out by yourself. That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. So you can educate the man or the woman.
Hello, Pastor, please, can I say something?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think this an advice to read the ladies here. We shouldn't be so hypocritical about our sexual life, because some of the ladies, when their partners want to discuss about sex with them, they become so holy, I don't know, holy, as if they don't want to talk about it, as if it's a sin. But when you do that, Jesus will come down from heaven to come and beat you or something like that. No, just allow yourself. Even if you don't like the conversation, just pretend to engage yourself into the conversation. Because if you don't do that, when your partner has a lady friend somewhere, he can go and something like discuss it with that lady friend, and eventually it will lead to something else. By the time you realize he's having a side check somewhere, so just allow yourself. Guys are known to be that. Most guys, they like sexual conversations, and if the person is your partner, allow yourself to engage yourself into that conversation. It's not a sin. God has given you the visa already. You are married. So it's not a sin. If you are not married, that's when you say that it's a sin. But since you are married, it's not a sin. So allow yourself and don't be holy cool. Thank you.
Yes, no holy cool in the marriage. Once you are married, you are both adults. So don't do holy stuff. Yes, Brother Eric. Thank you, Sister Shimon. Or Sheila. Brother Seth.
Okay, Pastor. I just wanted to say something about what Brother Philip was saying. I wanted to a little bit ask that what Jesus told Peter is different from this one, because a friend, I was asking this question because a friend came to me with this same story, what Brother Stephen had. So with your normal friend doing you wrong, Jesus said you should forgive the person for several times. And because you can even forgive and leave the person so that he will not hurt you again for you to be angry. But with this time, it's marriage. You cannot leave the person because you don't want the person to hurt you, since you cannot forgive. You are stuck with the person. So as Sister Sheila said, and in our local parlance, you too are crafty, you too momonesofo. Sometimes people also see that topic and they say it's very evil. You shouldn't be discussing this. Elder now cancer same way. Dickness now cancer same way. And I'm coming up So, Pastor, as the church leaders, I know we go counseling, but counseling it doesn't take so much time. So the lady will not get so much, the man will not get so much time to learn about the sex life and as after marriage sex life.
And when the other party brings that about, now quite now when our person discusses the same way, when our person say, how do we go about solving all this?
Yeah, Seth, I get your point though, but I want to dig it down a little bit, this kind of thing, because you see, this sexual thing we're talking about, we are Christians and we have with things in sex. Let me bring this one example. Let's say there are two couples, okay? And now the man can't satisfy the woman as she wanted. So he went out and buy a toy for her. Is it good, Pastor, as a Christian couple, woman use that kind of things? If one party is asking something, it doesn't come from the Bible, I don't think it can be go ahead and do it. Yes. So if that is the way, then the other one is right. Yeah. Or because we have different kind of, the way we are now, there's so many things. The married couple, they do it, which is, it doesn't come from God. Part come from evil, because evil have a counterfeit sex is going on in this planet right now. Yeah. So is that's why you guys asking about?
Yeah, if you see, we are not toys to be using these equipments or whatever, and we use on our wives and husbands. No, we shouldn't. God didn't give us that. And so don't go buying toys to just disturb the other. We have everything God has given to us to enjoy sex to its maximum. Let's not go extra way or invent things that are out of place to harm each other. It's not good. Somebody was asking on the chat line, how do you emotionally detach yourself from in-laws? Set boundaries, please. Set boundaries. Let them know your boundaries. And that is all. If you set boundaries, it will help you. If you don't want to continue to disturb your emotional space, set boundaries. That will help you. So, Brother Seth, I seem to have forgotten your question again, but all that we have been discussing, we have to be open when it comes to talking about sex between couples. I might come from a background that was a taboo for me to hear my parents talk about sex and what is in the confines of sex and so on and so forth. And someone could come from an open space where sex was discussed and so on and so forth, which helped or maybe didn't help, or the other way around. But once we come back together, we have to be educating ourselves as to how to do sex in a good way. There are bad ways, but there are good ways, God-approved ways, and so on and so forth. You know, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, Paul used a word that I have forgotten. Even this morning, we made mention of it. You go orally or through the anal part, and so on and so forth. So discuss that, and so on and so forth, and let the couple or each partner understand your likes and dislikes and so on and so forth, and how you can do it meaningfully. You can seek for counseling, you can read books, and you can also learn from educational programs and seminars like we're doing and discussing. So I think it will help. But the story that Brother Stephen was sharing with us and the way it was bad. It didn't go well. The woman didn't help the man, and so on and so forth. But I thank God that at the later part, the man said, yes, something can be done about it. And he went and wanted his wife to come back, and so on and so forth. So we shouldn't go that way. If we allow ourselves, the enemy is ready to get in and take things and destroy things to God's shame. But that is not how we should allow the enemy to put God to shame. God wants to take pride in us. So we must allow God to lead us, and so on and so forth. I don't know if I've helped you or all of us have helped you in answering your questions and the questions that came, and the contributions were so fantastic. So over to you, Mr. Moderator. I think time is up. Is Brother Vincent there? Oh, he's gone. Brother Eric, take over, please.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. Pastor, thank you so much. I mean, Judy said most of us are exhausted by now, and I also thank you for your time when you're my end throughout this whole I can say three-part seminar you only go through. Nyame nhyira wo paa ne nsɛm a wo ne yɛn akyɛ ɛne adesua yi nyinaa yɛsua ɛwɔ discussions ahodoɔ ne questions ade by contributions ne nyinaa. Nyame ɛnka yɛn ho. Megye di sɛ ne yɛsua yi ɛsiesie yɛn awareɛ na ɛboa yɛn ma yɛn nso a yɛpɛ sɛ yɛ consider awareɛ no ɛtu anammɔn ɛbɛn ho ntɛntɛm paa na megye di sɛ mmerɛ no ɛkɔ no nyinaa na ɛnkyɛ na Yesu aba nti yɛanware bi a sɛnea moka awareɛ mu anigyeɛ no ɛbɛyɛ yɛn bebree nti nyame nhyira wo. These are the times a megye di sɛ ɔne yɛn nkasa a ɛma yɛn n'anidasoɔ sɛ nyame abɔ yɛn soronko, and as Christians I think we have to do what the Bible says.
English, please, English.
We don't have any 1 hour verses here, but if you, I can switch it. So in conclusion, Pastor, we want to thank you especially for honoring this invitation to speak to us. We know, sir, this very day you did a baton. And then what was so afternoon is a lot of work, and it's also very late at your end. And yabayana yabom paye na yade ya disuya nyina ba wiye na sofo ne ya ehra dwumadi ne nyina so amaye. Ti sofo we de yebesre na ne ya bom paye na announcement o ho yade aba.
My mom paye. Yenyame yeda wase. So ma yesua de na ase wo mu yeda wase pa. Yesro se kakra yetumi yesua. Futua yenya. Yesro pise ma yefan konko yetuma.
Amen.
Besi yenye. Ono be wade ono wa wade yesro pise hu nyina yemopo. Awade yade pa na adoma he. But yanhwe a otamfo no be fa yen so a se no na yebu no mase. Yesro pise yempo no ngwase nti yesro boye. Boye na yɛnhyɛ wɔ animuonyam. Hyira ɔsafi, hyira ɛmo mmɔfra ne mpanyinfo nyinaa ne mu sɔfoɔ. Na ma ɔsafi ntumi nkɔ n'anim prim. Na yɛbɛtwa yɛn ani aka sɛ Awurade wayɛ adeɛ yie. Ɔno nkoto na yɛyie ne n'aseɛ ne ntontom. Sɛdeɛ Psalm 154 kan sɛ, I will praise you all the time. Safi bɛyi wayɛ, safi bɛma wo din so, safi bɛkamfo wo din. Bra yɛdidi ntitimu yi hwɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛ so ɔbrɛ ho ma asɛm biara kɔsi sɛ yɛbɛhyia mu bio mu. Sanse bisa wo nyinaa wɔ Yesu Kristo din mu nti. Amen.
Amen.